sweeten the fuck out of it. Crazy. Hey guys.
I don't think he needs an introduction.
No. We know this. Okay.
How are you doing?
So good. How are you?
Nice haircut, by the way.
Hey, thanks. I know I'm like a person now.
So what's wrong with Quentin this season?
Well, I guess, Quentin doesn't exist this season, really. We start with a guy named Brian, who I like to refer to as Bry Guy. He has a different outlook on the world than Quentin ever did. I think Quentin was always waiting for the sky to fall on him, and I think Brian has a rosier view of the world, and now this character has been thrust into the hands of a murderous, psychopathic child beast thing, and is getting a crash course in the idea that magic exists. I don't remember what your question was.
But the answer was
Pretty open-ended.
So what do you, what's it like to kind of play somebody totally different?
Well, for that reason, it's cool. It's cool to someone who is in the spirit of the person he was before. He comes equipped with the same. No, let me take that back. It's the same spirit, but I think the way that he responds to stimulus is very different. We're doing sort of like a hard reboot in that like we get to see these people experience magic all over again, and cool to do it a brand new way. I think Quentin was skeptical and kind of perpetually disappointed with the things that he learned and found out about what magic was, because he needed it. It was something that he needed to solve the big problems in his life. He wanted a quick fix, and it couldn't do that. And so it was disappointing for that reason. Brian doesn't know that it exists in the first place. He would never. I don't think he's the kind of human being who ever really thought about magic, other than when he read Lord of the Rings and was like, "Well, that's sort of silly, isn't it?" It's fun to get to experience things from a whole new angle.
You're starting at the bottom and you're building it up to a higher level of excitement as opposed to going down.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's interesting that like you're talking about like a hard reboot, because there's so much growth, and obviously you had like a little bit of a reboot this past season, right, with the puzzle episode. Are we going to see any kind of like return to Quentin's kind of the direction he went in terms of his queerness?
Of his queerness?
Yeah.
Well,
far.
supposing that Quentin comes back.
Okay. In that context.
I think what's that?
If he never did,
he might not. We're pretty early in the season so far.
Been promised nothing.
And I've been promised nothing. I play this guy named Bry Guy who's covered in blood 90% of the time. I think the question of Quentin's queerness is an interesting one, and one that we don't have to talk about.
Okay,
You know what I mean? I think that's what's refreshing about it. Is that it's. I believe that sexuality is a spectrum, and I think Quentin falls somewhere in the middle of that, and I don't think it's something that. I think he's anxious about a lot of things in his life, and the fact that he's not quite anxious about that is a little bit remarkable, and something that I am choosing to lean into. Yeah.
So one of my favorite episodes from last season was the one where you and Elliot like grow old together.
Yeah.
What was that process like, and how did you guys work on that?
one of my favorite, I will say the same thing, like one of our favorite episodes to shoot is our favorite one to read. We're so excited to get to do it. It's a very fast-paced show that we're on, with high stakes, very life and death oriented, and exciting to get to have an opportunity for these characters to have small struggles that build up to changing life experiences, which is not something we get to do on the show often. And there's so much character growth that happens in that episode. A lot of stuff. Quentin and Elliot have a very profound relationship in the books, and one that like the show sometimes glosses over for just because of time, right? We allude to them being very close, but we don't have the opportunity to see it often, and this was the first time we got to do that, so it was a little bit of a dream come true for like Hale and I to finally have the opportunity to like really investigate those things about these guys whom we fell in love with when we read the books. To actually do that was a treat.
It made me cry.
What's that?
It made me cry.
It made me cry. Yeah, reading it made me cry. It's a very, very good episode, written by one of our writers named Mike Moore. He's a really, really talented writer, one of the best on the show.
Do you think that Quentin's relationship with
their relationship will never be the same. But that's life, right? Like, you wouldn't expect it to. They're very different people now, and they've hurt each other in ways that I think surprise both of them. I think they're intrinsically entwined. I don't think that'll ever go away. I don't think they'll ever not be a part of each other's lives in some fashion. But even if you've read the novels, it's ambiguous. She died and came back to life, and he's now, especially in our show, has at least the wisdom of someone who's 120-something years old. It's a different person. He's been married. He had a child. His wife died. His child grew old and left. He fell in love with his best friend, who then died. He was responsible for saving and destroying magic and maybe the world. Like, there's a lot that has happened. So can't be the same, but probably still exists.
What goes into playing, like acting that kind of gravitas, so to speak? Like playing somebody who has gone through all of those things and still maintaining what you started with.
I think
because it seems like it's something that you can do very like glib, being like old and wise in a young person's body. What goes into that for you?
Well, I don't think anyone's ever done growing, and my relationship with my grandparents and like older people that I know, they're not done, and they don't feel old, and they don't even necessarily feel wise most of the time. I think it mostly comes into play in the way that you respond to stimulus, because something has happened to you numerous times. Like the way that I think that Quentin specifically like interacts with the world and experiences like anxiety, is not something that is the same with this new knowledge and experience. It's not gone. It's something that is biological in some ways. But it just comes with more experience. Like, I don't.
The stimulus thing makes sense.
Yeah.
In terms of like knowing that things have happened before and back in.
Yeah.
All right, thanks so much for being here.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Sure. As always.